First of all, let me thank organizer of the meeting for inviting me here. 刚才11跟永华跟 Lionel 都用普通话讲了，那我就改变一下，用英文讲，好吧？So today's topic is, of course, about higher education. And so what I would like to speak about is higher education as the driver and incubator of knowledge-based economy. Now, to start with, let me first define what knowledge-based economy is. We hear KPE all the time, but exactly what is it? I listed here a definition that's actually provided by the World Bank. So I think it's quite official. And so I'll just read off the red letters, red words here. KPE is defined by the fact that this organization and people acquire, create, disseminate, and use knowledge, first of all. Secondly, it is characterized by an abundance of ideas and capabilities, which are the key sources of wealth and opportunities. Third thing is that it's characterized by the ability to capture and capitalize on scientific discoveries and applied research. And finally, it's supported by the collaborations of entrepreneurship, academia, and government-sponsored research. So I think that should give us a pretty good picture of what exactly is knowledge-based economy. Now, let's look at some examples. Here are those that have been described, again, by the World Bank as examples of knowledge-based economy. You see the United States, Germany, France, Italy, Singapore, and including Greater Bay Area and Australia. I think the numbers basically tell you everything. The most important one probably is the last two columns, the GDP in terms of US billions of dollars, and then finally GDP per capita. Now, you can see that Greater Bay Area doesn't do so well in the last column, even though it is a knowledge-based economy. We'll come to that in a minute. So where does knowledge-based economy come from? I think if you look back through human history, when we were roaming around catching, not tigers, too difficult, but rabbits or whatever for a living, we didn't have any knowledge-based economy whatsoever. It really started pretty much from agricultural economy. If you know how to plant corn or rice and beans and soybeans and so on and so forth, you will be ahead of the guy who doesn't know how to do it. Then the big breakthrough really comes from industrial economy, industrial revolution. Again, knowledge began to be very important. And I will fast forward to today. And of course, I am skipping the computers and all this stuff. But now we are dealing with knowledge-based economy. The world's future is in KPE. All right, so again, just to summarize, this is from, again, World Bank. Highly educated and trained workforce derived mainly from higher degree education. That's basically the topic or the gist of my presentation here. Higher education is extremely important for knowledge-based economy, and I'll show you some data later. Information infrastructure, very important. Economic incentives, human capitals, and a system that promotes and encourages innovation. All right, now let's look at another slide. This is from the Global Innovation Index published in 2022. And here you go. And let's not worry too much about how they come up with the number. I'll tell you how they do it in a minute. And let's see where we are. Switzerland ranks very high, followed by the United States, et cetera, and China ranks number 11, and Hong Kong ranks number 14. Now, this is indeed the index that people use to kind of, hey, you do pretty well or you don't do so well, and so on and so forth. Now, there are 132 countries and economies that have been ranked. All right, now let's do a deep dive into why China is number 11 and Hong Kong is number 14. Now, these are the positions, okay? You can see 1 to 15 there. And let me see if I must look at this one, it's bigger here. Now, so we do quite well. Let's look at Hong Kong. We do quite well in infrastructure. We're number 6. Market sophistication, we're number 2, actually. But you know where we don't do so hot? Knowledge and technology outputs. We're number 60. Now, let's look at China. The knowledge and technology output, not bad. But overall, they are also not very good, like institutions, number 42. Meaning China does not have yet enough institutions and organizations that support a knowledge-based economy. Now, of course, this is 1 year's number. It could be a different set of numbers next year, but it's worth looking into. So, one more thing. How do you push yourself to rank higher and so on and so forth? Let's use one index. The number of researchers per million people on the y-axis, and research expenditure, percent of GDP on the x-axis. It's quite clear, if you use more money for research expenditure, you will go higher on the upper right-hand corner. Now, the size of the ball is the actual dollar, US dollar, I believe. Well, it doesn't matter what dollar, just same number that you get back. China actually spends quite a bit of money, but it doesn't do so well. United States spends the most money, and it's doing, quite good. South Korea, actually, per dollar-wise, is actually the best in the world. All right, the next one. GDP earning versus persons with tertiary education, topic of today's session. On the y-axis, 10-year average GDP per capita, and on the x-axis, countries across the world, and you can see that those, the countries across the world, but percent of 25 to 64-year-olds with tertiary education, those who have a university, undergraduate, and postgraduate degree. Those that have more are also on the upper right-hand corner. Those who have less or fewer are in the bottom left. So tertiary education is absolutely crucial to GDP. And on the right-hand side, also another ranking, which is by unemployment, which pretty much goes with the other side. You have high GDP per person, per capita, you probably have low unemployment. Clearly illustrating the importance of higher education. Now let's use another crazy criterion, Nobel Prize, right? Not exactly a measure of necessary knowledge-based economy, but interesting to look at. Nobel Prize, let's see, GDP per capita on the x-axis, and Nobel Prize per, can't read it here, whatever, number of Nobel Prize per capita. Again, you see, if you have lots of GDP, you will have more Nobel laureates. And unfortunately, China also ranks in the lower left-hand corner. Now, at this point, I want to point out that you can draw all these graphs you want, but don't necessarily believe in everything that you see, because the next one will tell you a very crazy plot. And that is the amount of chocolate consumption on the x-axis and the number of Nobel laureates per 10 million population. So I encourage everyone to eat chocolate. Switzerland, not surprising. Somewhere should be Belgium somewhere. Belgium didn't do so well. So at any rate, the point is, don't believe everything that you see. But it's informative, right? It gives you a rough idea. So eat more chocolate, everyone, and we'll get up there. All right. Okay, all kidding aside, let's get back to where we are. So I told you about KBE. I told you about the importance of higher education. Let's look at what our national 14 5-year plan says. Just read the letters in bold. Implement a number of forward-looking and strategic national major scientific and technological projects. Subjects listed: AI, quantum information, etc. Focusing on strategic emerging industries. Very obvious, again, information tech, biotech, etc., new energy. Boost the bioeconomy. That's actually a very important component in the 5-year plan. Implementing policies to encourage enterprises to invest in research and development. All pretty good, because I think that will put us, namely us meaning Hong Kong, Greater Bay Area, and also the nation, towards the path of not just doing well in KBE, but also increasing in all the other parameters I just listed. Now, how are we doing? CUHK, we're a component of this whole thing. I just want to share some things with you about what we have done. Our strategic plan 2025, and the tagline is excellence with purpose and responsibility. And our job, our mission is to support Hong Kong to be an international innovation and technology center, and we'll focus on research, innovation, and enterprise. We want to build a research talent pool that has the following 6 things surrounding it: cross-disciplinary cooperation, diverse sources of research funding, upgrading research facility infrastructure, knowledge transfer, innovation, enhancing professional services and support, and global collaboration and alumni engagement. The key is you must have the talent. Nobel Prize is one sort of talent. Eating chocolate is another way of getting there. But I think the bottom line is still we need to have a significant and productive research talent pool. We have defined 4 areas of research: environment and sustainability, information and automation technology, innovative biomedicine, and of course, our roots. Remember, our first name is Chinese. Right? It's the only university, I think, in the world that first name is Chinese. So China, tradition, and modernity. And very, very important. So these are the 4 areas under which you have all these different categories I don't want to go into. Should be obvious to everyone. So how are we doing? Are we showing that we actually are progressing along these directions? So actually we have, previous speakers mentioned state key labs, so we actually have 5 state key labs. First one in 2006 on translational oncology, and 2013 we have digestive diseases. So we're progressing along the country's direction of innovation and technology. In the recent, I believe Yonghua mentioned Inno Hong Kong. So in Inno Hong Kong, we also have 6 Inno Hong Kong setups, 3 in health and 3 in AI and robotics. Now, I mentioned talent, people. At the end of the day, they say that 3 things are necessary for success: people, people, and people. So let's look at our distribution. On the left-hand side, you see that we have, pay attention to the professorial part. Not bad. About 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, young, middle-aged, and senior. Very important, because if you have all senior, you're in trouble. If you're all junior, also in trouble. So we're doing pretty well. And we have a large, more than half, is very important. From everything I have learned in my academic career, you must have young people around. 50% is a minimum. On the right-hand side, same thing. This is now looking at the teaching and research staff and research students. We have more than half being postgraduate students. I think everyone should pay attention to this. If you have fewer than 25% PhD students, you are not going to go very far. So our road to the Greater Bay Area, so that's Hong Kong. But how about, what have we done in the Greater Bay Area? We're one of the earliest Hong Kong universities to enter into the research arena in the Greater Bay Area. In 2006, as early as 2006, we collaborated with City of Shenzhen and the National Academy of Science to establish the Shenzhen Institute of Advanced Technology the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and the CIAT, which is doing wonderfully well. And then we have Shenzhen Research Institute, and in 2014, CUHK Shenzhen, a very important educational component in the Bay Area. Then in 2018, we set up the Entrepreneurship Innovation Hub, InnoHub, which now has more than 60 startups doing quite well there and ready to expand. And we have other things, and I just want to point out that in 2020, we set up the Office of Greater Bay Area Development officially to coordinate lots of different things. And then, of course, we also have a footprint in Futian as well. So in order to succeed, 产学研, or you can call it enterprise innovation research or education translation and enterprise, however you want to put it, 搞来搞去，最后三样东西在动了 then things can happen. All right, so and one of the engines we have is on the right-hand side, the Shenzhen Research Institute. Again, like I said, set up quite a while ago, and with the InnoHub there. And just want to mention Shenzhen, CUHK Shenzhen. I just visited them last weekend after 3 years. 等了3年, finally got a chance to visit CUHK Shenzhen, and we had a wonderful time and brainstorming about what we can do in the future, the collaborations, joint programs, etc., etc. So very proud of CUHK Shenzhen. Innovation technology. In 2021, we had a celebration of 15th anniversary, and we signed 7 MOUs with various organizations in the Greater Bay Area to promote innovation and technology. Challenges. Now, I gave you all the rosy pictures and some conceptual ideas, but clearly there are challenges. We have regional, local, and global. I think you can read this very easily. Regional, we have to compete with surrounding cities. And I don't mean just Greater Bay Area. I mean in the region of Southeast Asia or this part of Asia. Local, of course, we have to compete because that's why you have Olympics, because you want to run with the fastest. And global, we have to compete with countries around the world. Internationally, there are all kinds of ill wind blowing our way. Economics, we have deglobalization, low economic growth. Society, we have aging society, we have poverty, health issues. The pandemic clearly illustrates that. And of course, education, budget shrinkage, shortage of teachers, inadequate, innovative, and technological elements. Those are all the things we have to pay attention to. Moving forward, adopting what the country has set up, education, science and technology, and human capitals must go hand in hand. All those graphs I told you, except for the chocolate one, education clearly is an absolute must. Our efforts, I don't want to go into details, is about innovation, talent, working with industry, and education. Education is at the bottom because that's where everything will grow from. You must have young talent with you. Conclusion, I'm just going to share my thoughts with you. We have to be very aware of the changes in the international environment. There's a lot of geopolitical tension and negative things happening at all times. We have to be very alert. Next, we have to have diversified efforts. Go back to our mission, to combine tradition with modernity and to bring together China and the West. I look at this every day when I go to work. And we, at CUHK, we're dedicated to contributing to advancement in human society, global cooperation, and the development of our country, deepening international cooperations, innovative research, societal responsibility, national identity, and global perspectives must be in the education curriculum for our students. And of course, adhere to national plans. And this year happens to be the 60th anniversary of CUHK 1家子. So we are deeply committed to pursuing excellence with purpose and responsibility. And 刚才永华说 something about the need to collaborate. And I'll just add, in the old days, for professors, publish or perish, right? I would change that to collaborate or crumble. So we must collaborate. So I think I will stop here, and thank you very much for your attention.